episode 126 of Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. My name is Bill Pivots. So again, this week I'm going to be recapping the last 2 weeks of NXT. I do apologize again for not putting out an episode last week. I had a lot going on, new role at work, holiday stuff. Obviously, if you know, I work at a big consumer retail store, so prepping for the holidays and just a lot of stuff going on at home. So couldn't get the time to record last week, but I'm going to give you a longer episode this week with the last 2 weeks of NXT, starting with the episode that took place on August 30th. The show was headlined by Roderick Strong and Bobby Roode. It did kick off with a camera crew showing multiple stars looking mostly sanity on the ground in the parking lot as a couple men in some white shirts walked away. Expected to be Bobby Fish, Adam Cole, and Kyle O'Reilly. Drew McIntyre made his entrance. I got to admit, I didn't like it when I first saw it, but that new NXT title looks pretty. All gold and shiny on Drew McIntyre's shoulder. Drew did call out Fish, O'Reilly, and Cole, and pretty much everyone else in the locker room, put them on notice. He said if they want a title shot, they just have to walk in the ring and ask for it. Roderick Strong came out. Strong congratulated him and said all he cares about, though, is his family and that NXT title. He said after he beats Roode tonight, he's going to come after the title. McIntyre appreciated him stepping up, but hopes Strong's ready to get knocked out like a man. Short segment, possibly setting up the first challenger for McIntyre with Roderick Strong and taking on Drew McIntyre, but you still have Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly lurking around in the back. They recapped Bobby Roode's interview after his SmackDown Live debut a couple weeks ago, and Asuka will be on next week, meaning this week's episode, to give an update. Peyton Royce versus Ruby Riot. Some back and forth early. Peyton wore down Ruby, tossed her outside before the first break. Ruby made her comeback. Billie Kay distracted her, allowing Peyton Royce to hit a spin kick and a Death Valley driver for a 2 count. A little while later, Kay pulled Ruby out of the ring as the ref was fixing the apron and pretty much destroyed her with a big boot, and then Peyton Royce won with the Fisherman Suplex. Decent match, surprising finish though. Ruby beat up Kay a couple weeks ago, so it makes sense for Peyton Royce to avenge that loss and kind of get the win back. The match was a little clunky in the beginning, didn't really care for it, but they got some nice near falls, and Kay's interference obviously played up to the story that these two are attacking Ruby Riot. Regal commented on the pre-show attacks as Kassius Ohno interrupted. He said he wants Hideo Itami and asked for a no DQ match, and he got it. So that'll take place on this week's episode. Heavy Machinery squashed 2 jobbers. They sandwiched one of the guys. Tucker hit a double crossbody and 2 corner splashes. They landed the compactor as one of their opponents was already on the ground and felt the wrath of his other opponent getting squashed on top of him. Same old stuff, little twist on the finish, but they seem to be getting over, so I'm enjoying it so far. I just want to see a meaningful feud for Heavy Machinery. We got a recap of the Lars Sullivan attack on No Way Jose from the week before. Lars was smiling as he was with William Regal. Regal announced that he'll be facing 3 opponents in a handicap match, and also announced was Andrade Cien versus Cesar Bonani. And the main event, Hideo Itami versus Kassius Ohno. So this week's episode was pretty stacked, but we still have the main event of Roderick Strong versus Bobby Roode. There was a loud "Thank you, Bobby" chant. He went for his glorious taunt, but Strong shoved him, and he received some boos for that. He had a couple different backbreakers, fought outside for a bit, and Roode hit his spinebuster on the floor as they went to the first commercial break. Roode then hit 2 backbreakers of his own. Strong came back with a tossing gutbuster. They went back and forth for a little bit. After butterfly powerbomb, Strong locked in a Boston Crab, still focusing on the back of Bobby Roode. Roode hit a fireman's carry stunner and shook off some elbows, hit a second spinebuster. Roderick Strong countered the glorious DDT into an angle slam. He kept going with a big superplex. Roode pulled out the DDT, but Strong got his foot on the rope, shades of when Roode got his foot on the rope when the last time they fought. Roode was talking shit, and Strong hit 2 high knees to the head. He then hit a suplex into a backbreaker. Strong blew a kiss at Bobby Roode before winning with a suplex backbreaker. After the match, Drew McIntyre came out, stood on stage, pointed at Roderick Strong. Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly attacked Drew from atop the stage. Cole landed a DDT on the ramp, and they ran out of the building as William Regal went after them. Funny to think that Roderick Strong didn't help Drew McIntyre. He kind of just sat in the ring and watched. Maybe he was too tired from the match, or maybe there's something going on and we get a Roderick Strong heel turn. Who knows? Great match, though. I like the story between Strong and Roode. It wasn't about the title. It wasn't about anything. It's just being a man and stepping up and taking the fight. First half was a little slow, though, but they built to Strong's comeback very nicely. And the post-match attack stuff, it's kind of weird to see where they're going. Strong's got momentum now, so he could easily be the next contender, but you still have the heel trio, Fish, O'Reilly, and Adam Cole attacking the champion as well. Unless they go the triple threat match at the next TakeOver, they got plenty of time to flesh this out, so I'm not worried. But it's interesting that they have Drew McIntyre getting pulled in two different directions in his first week or two as champion. Overall, decent episode of NXT, though. The matches were good. I like the stories that they're telling, and it's pretty much a new day, no pun intended, in NXT with a lot of the 2015-2016 class on the main roster. You got Roderick Strong, Drew McIntyre, and the ROH trio running NXT right now with a couple of new talents. So it's a new identity for NXT, but so far so good. And this week's episode of NXT was pretty loaded. Like I mentioned, you have the Asuka update, you have Andrade Cien Lars Sullivan had the handicap match, Hideo Itami and Kassius Ohno in the no DQ. So there was a lot going on. The show did start with a video recap of Hideo's attitude change since TakeOver Chicago. And then we got Andrade Cien versus Cesar Bononi. Almas was aggressive early. Bononi got some offense in. He blocked a big boot, but Almas immediately hit him with a back elbow. He was thinking about going for the double knees, but Zelina Vega was at the announcer's desk. She stood up and yelled to finish him, so he changed his mind and won with the hammerlock DDT. This was more of a showcase match again for Andrade Cien. He got his win back from like 3 months ago, so that's washed off the record books. And he's pretty much on a winning streak since having Vega by his side, so a new focus for him and a new direction. He's pretty much the number 2 or number 3 heel on the NXT roster right now. We saw a recap of the ROH trio attacking McIntyre, and Regal announced that all fighting is supposed to be done in the ring, and they will compete in the ring only. A weird announcement to make. I don't know what that means. I don't know. It seemed just out of place. Velveteen Dream grabbed the mic. He said that he was watching TakeOver and noticed someone. I don't know what that means, if he's going to get a protege or whatnot, but Velveteen Dream stalking someone. Lars Sullivan against 3 jobbers. He called all 3 in the ring at the same time. He double clotheslined 2 of them and then took them apart one by one, just tossing them across the ring. Halfway through the match, though, my stream just cut to a recap of the outside attack from last week, and I have no idea what the finish was. Apparently, him and No Way Jose had a confrontation, and Lars Sullivan beat him up as well. I have no idea. Then we saw Eric Young and the rest of Sanity cut a promo on the ROH guys as they were laying on the concrete floor. Typical stuff from Sanity. Next up was Zeta against Sonya Deville. Deville took her opponent down a couple times with a belly-to-back waistlock. Zeta then hit a roundhouse kick, but Deville hit a better one and then a running knee to the face before winning with a triangle armbar. Nothing special here. It wasn't that good of a match. The crowd reacted to the running knee, but that was pretty much about it. Yeah, I got nothing. We did get a video of William Regal watching Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan training at the Performance Center. I would love to see them as a tag team, to be honest. Just 2 hard-hitting guys. Nothing too crazy, no outrageous gimmick, just 2 guys that can wrestle and beat people up. Ruby Riott approached him, though, and asked for a handicap match with Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. He said he wouldn't allow it, but he would give her the chance to find a tag team partner. So, it'll be Ruby Riott and someone else against Billie Kay, Peyton Royce next week. That led to the final match of the show, Kassius Ohno versus Hideo Itami, and this was a great match. The feud has been going on for a while, obviously since TakeOver Chicago, so this has definitely run its course. I would have loved to see the blow-off at TakeOver Brooklyn, but they got to spice up these NXT episodes every now and then. Ohno hit a running suplex early, Hideo threw him to the post, and as Ohno fell down the steps on the outside. Not to get sidetracked, though, but there was this girl standing in the front row, and she was pretty pale, black hair, bigger size, and she looked exactly like Jonah Hill from 22 Jump Street when he was in his goth phase. Funniest thing, I couldn't take my eyes off her at that point. Back to the match, though. Hideo Itami landed a lot of kicks to the chest. He pulled out a chair. Ohno went for an elbow into the chair, but Hideo threw it at his elbow as Ohno was agonizing in pain on the mat, and they went to their first commercial break. Hideo kicked Ohno in the face, but it fired Kassius up as he made his comeback. He landed a Shining Wizard and a spinning elbow after he escaped the GTS. Fought up the ramp a little bit. Hideo pulled out a Fisherman suplex on the ramp. Huge spot there. He then hit a hesitation drop kick with the chair across Ohno's face in the corner. Another sick spot. Ohno somehow made it to his feet. He blocked a kick, but got thumbed in the eyes. He then returned the favor after countering the GTS again, hit a low blow, and then won with a rolling elbow. Again, great story that Ohno had to stoop to Hideo's level. Obviously, it was a no DQ match, but still, he had a low blow and just take Hideo down with that. And this stuff, we don't see this stuff often on NXT. We don't see no DQ matches. We don't see them fighting up the ramp, except for, I think, the Nikki Cross Asuka match. They fought by the announce table and backstage and all that. But it's very rare that we do get these instances. So when they do happen, it's actually pretty cool. And that superplex sounded like it hurt. And Ohno definitely needed this win. Hideo could be main roster bound. Who knows? But I can't remember the last time that Ohno actually won a match. So it makes sense if he's going to be around NXT for a while to give him at least one win over an established star. It was also announced that Pete Dunne will defend his UK title against Wolfgang next week. So they are loading up these NXT shows. Back-to-back good weeks of good matches. And I'm looking forward to that match as well. William Regal was in the ring. He introduced Asuka. She said that she's been in NXT for almost 2 years and fought some real great superstars. She loves NXT and grown so much here and grateful for her time. Regal said that she's done nothing but defend the NXT Women's title with honor, except for the 2 times that she had to cheat against Ember Moon, but no big deal. And he called her one of the greatest champions in WWE. He then announced that he started negotiations with both Raw and SmackDown to bring Asuka to the main roster, and with that comes that Asuka will be dropping the NXT Women's Championship. Asuka then said no one is ready for Asuka, as all the women from the NXT roster and the Mae Young Classic stood on stage, applauded her, and then some of the men came out as well. I saw Johnny Gargano and a couple others back there. Asuka then said wherever she goes, NXT comes with her. Ember Moon then stood in front of all the women, kind of stared Asuka down. She walked into the ring. They stared at each other. Ember went for a handshake. Asuka was going to return the favor, but Ember slipped it away, kind of what Asuka's been doing the last couple times they fought. They laughed about it, and then they hugged for a long time. The crowd then popped huge as they saw Triple H come out. He handed Asuka a couple dozen roses and celebrated in the ring, and she posed one more time as she began to cry. And that's how the show went off with a loud thank you Asuka chant. Again, great episode. I liked the final stuff. The little interaction between Ember Moon and Asuka, I liked a lot. They have mutual respect and all that, and it was just a good send-off. I think they did it with Finn Balor when he was done, or Shinsuke Nakamura. I forget which one, that they done something similar with them going up to the main roster. So Asuka, she obviously has her shoulder surgery, which they didn't mention at all, which I found interesting. They didn't mention her shoulder, that she's going to be out for a few weeks, but just that she's dropping the title and will be debuting on the main roster soon. Which I like, but I wonder what they're going to do with the NXT Women's Championship. Are they going to have another tournament, because they have the Mae Young Classic going on right now? Are they going to have a Battle Royal? Is Ember Moon going to face the winner of the Mae Young Classic? Who knows? That's something to look forward to as well. It's a nice little story for the women's division, leading into possibly the next TakeOver special, which probably will be November. But overall, it was a good show. I liked the Andrade Cien Almas match. He's still aggressive. I wish I saw all of the Lars Sullivan match and what happened there. Didn't care for the women's match, and the main event, Kassius Ohno, Hideo Itami, was really good. All right, so next week, like I mentioned, we have the women's tag match, and we also have Pete Dunne, Wolfgang. So it should be another great episode of NXT. Things are starting to pick up here after TakeOver Brooklyn. All right, guys, follow me on Twitter at @bpiv_sports. Like, comment, subscribe to the show on YouTube, and I'll try to be back later this week with episode 127. Peace.